Imagine transforming your finances and saving $10,000 in less than a year without asking your boss for a raise. If you're ready to take control of your money and achieve your financial dreams, stick around, because today we're going to talk about the ways that I personally saved $10,000 in the last year without a raise. But before we get started, my name is Carrie Stone and this is Carry On, where we talk all things money, movement, and mindset. And today we are talking money. As I was researching for this video, I found some disturbing statistics. Did you know that nearly 60% of all Americans do not have $1,000 in the bank for an emergency? Most people would have to borrow for something as simple as a blown tire, or a broken down car, or a medical emergency. The average American household has a credit card debt of $6,000 or more, leaving them with high interest rates that make it almost impossible to even think about saving. About 70% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, making them feel helpless and enslaved in jobs that most likely they don't even enjoy. 25% of all Americans have no retirement nor any plan for establishing it. And a significant portion of our population suffers from complete and utter financial illiteracy, leaving them helpless when it comes to budgeting and saving and knowing when and if to take out loans. It's a pretty sad state of affairs when you think about it in light of these statistics. But I don't know about you, I don't like being a statistic. But last year at this time, I was one, because I was using the very common approach to finances, which is the head in the sand approach. You see, back before I went through over a decade of sickness, I was in charge of the finances. But then when I got sick, I started making a lot of stupid mistakes. So my husband took them over. And I am not beating him up regarding where our finances ended up, because I'm going to be honest, the guy was in way over his head. He had the full responsibility of paying all of our bills. He was also doing all of my jobs, helping to take care of the kids, just getting through life with a sick wife. So I do not at all point fingers at him or blame him for where we were in our finances. I should have stepped back into the role sooner than I did. If you've watched any of my other videos, you know I was just in the midst of surviving. So I couldn't take on anything else until I did. And when I did, I discovered that the head in the sand approach just doesn't work very well. So when I started asking questions and realized where we were in our finances, these are the steps that we personally took to save over $10,000 in less than a year. We paid for our daughter's wedding with no borrowing, no credit cards, no diving into savings, nothing. We saved it by doing these steps, and this is what we did. First, we sat down with the budget and we got real honest. We evaluated and we researched our budget as if we were detectives solving a massive murder case. We tore it apart and just analyzed everything to death. I just took every single charge and thought, is this necessary? We took all the necessary ones and we put them in one column. These are things that have to be. Then we started looking at the other things that we were paying for and realized, first of all, we were paying for some streaming services I didn't realize we were paying for. And then I started thinking, well, here we have several streaming services. Do we need them all? So I cut a couple of them out. And we've been very happy and very satisfied with the two that we kept. Then I got on the phone and started calling people and asking for reductions. And you know, people don't tend to want to do that step, but I have to tell you, the worst thing a person can do is say no. You know, they're just going to tell you they can't reduce the bill, but a lot of times they're able to. And we were able to get some reductions, and good thing we did, because within months, other bills of ours went up the same amount that I had just cut out by asking for reductions. So I didn't get as angry about it as I would have if I hadn't already reduced our bills enough that we didn't really feel the increases. So just ask, call around and ask for reductions in your bills. Look for the things that you can cut out and cut them. And I'm not telling you to live like a pauper and to not have any fun. You want to still prioritize what is important to your happiness, but do you need 4 streaming services to be happy? Because if you need 4 streaming services to be happy, then I have to ask, what are you doing to be happy? Like, instead of just sitting around in front of a TV or computer screen all the time, get out there and do other fun things. Go take a walk. There are places you can hike, and you can do those things for free, and it's good for you. So just think about how you're spending your money and really analyze, how much happiness does this bring me by spending this money here? Do you need to go out and buy coffee all the time? Is it worth it? Or could that $5 be invested into your future? So really think about it. The other thing we did is we established goals, which helped us to then establish our plan. See, we set up the goal of $10,000 because we knew we had a wedding coming. And also, we just wanted to prove to ourselves that we could take over our finances and improve our lives. And so we had that goal for $10,000, but then we broke that goal down and we looked at it in terms of months and weeks and days. And I just averaged it out to $30 a day. But when you stop and you look at it that way, then you're able to really analyze what you're spending money on. What do you blow $30 on? Think about it. Do you go out for coffee every day? Are you buying your meals out? I don't know about where you live, but where I live, eating out has gotten so incredibly expensive. And we live in a tourist town. So if you go out for a glass of wine, you're going to pay $15 for a house quality glass of wine, when we can go to a really cute little store in walking distance of our house and buy a nice bottle of wine for $9 to $15. So we can get 4 glasses for the price of 1 glass. And so we just started thinking about, where do we want to be spending our money? Where are you spending your money? Be honest with yourself and give yourself a good assessment. If you haven't watched my video on the EAR theory, which is when you evaluate, adjust, and review your life daily, weekly, monthly, tri-monthly, and yearly, you'll want to take a look at that, and I will link it right over there. When you are developing and planning your goal and establishing how you're going to accomplish it, you want to really make sure you know what your why is. For us, it wasn't really that difficult, knowing, of course, our daughter is getting married, but also that my husband is 13 years older than I am, and we're thinking about retirement. We're thinking about where we want to live in the next 10, 15 years, and we have financial goals that we want to accomplish in a very condensed period of time. So for us, our why was really clear. I want to encourage you to sit back and really think about what your why is. Because if your why is strong enough, you'll be able to say no to the things that really aren't that important. And that's how I look at stuff now. Is this worth an hour of my husband's work time? Is this worth not putting money away into our savings? Is it worth the sacrifice? And if it's not, just walk away. Give it time. Think about it. And a lot of times when you just stop and take time to think about whether to purchase something or whether to do something, you lose the desire for it. So really take time to think about, what does it take from your future if you spend that $30 today? Now, after we had our budget and our goals and our why and all of that established, we started handling our money in a very succinct way. My husband puts our money in the bank each week, and a certain amount goes to our personal account where we pay all of our bills. And we have learned some things over the last year, like our biggest bills come out the first week of the month. So the first week of the month is not the time to do a Costco run. I figured that one out the hard way. Maybe you're smarter than I am and you would have figured it out sooner. You learn to figure out when it's a good time to purchase things, when to stock up and when to save. So after he moves that money into our personal account, I have $80 that immediately comes out and goes into the savings account. And I do that because we have two bills that we cannot pay monthly. They come twice a year, and they kept throwing me off. I kept being surprised by them and then not prepared for them. So after it hit me a couple times, I figured out I need to plan for this, and I figured out how much I needed to take out each week in order to not be surprised by those two bills anymore. And so now $80 goes into a savings account each week to cover those bills when they come up. And then we have automatic withdrawals for our tithing. So that comes out every Saturday, and I don't have to think about it. I just know it's happening. Some of our bills are automated already, and then the ones that are not, as soon as they come in, I sit down and I budget and I check my bank account and I pay those bills. And if it's not due yet, I just set them up on the date that they're due, and I know they're going out and it's taken care of. And then we have other accounts that I save into. So we have money that goes into one account for our estimated taxes because we're self-employed. And that's actually how I tricked my husband into saving more money, because I overestimated how much we needed for our estimated taxes. And I was able to save up $5,000 that way just by overestimating what we needed for our estimated taxes. And my husband was thrilled when we didn't have to borrow or take out of our savings to pay for our daughter's wedding. But still, it was money I saved by causing us to live on less so we could save more. Then I have another account where I put in $100 every week for our property taxes. And then we have 10% that goes away for our IRAs and 401ks. The other thing that we did after we budgeted and had a place for our money and we knew where every dollar was going, we sold things. I took broken gold. If you have gold sitting around your house right now, take it to a reputable jeweler and sell it. It's a great investment. And I took a bunch of broken pieces that I couldn't even wear, and I took them in and sold them, and I came out with $1,475. We had a boat sitting in our driveway, and I begged my husband, sell that boat. He said, nobody's going to buy that boat. I insisted somebody will buy that boat. He put the boat on the market. We sold that boat for $4,000 to a man who wanted a project. So had my husband fixed up the boat, that guy wouldn't have been interested in it. But instead, we had $4,000 to go towards my daughter's wedding. Yay! The next thing I recommend, have a side hustle. One of the reasons we were able to save is because most frivolous spending in our household comes out of my side hustle. I have an empty nest job at a cute little boutique in my town, and that's where I get my mommy money. So when my kids need something, I send money out of that account. When I want a new blouse, or a pair of shoes, or something for my husband, or we're going on vacation, it comes out of my side hustle account. So we don't have anything frivolous that comes out of our main account. And if you have a side hustle, you can put that towards your savings. And I've even done that. When we were saving for the wedding, I didn't buy much out of that account. I kept as much of my pay as I could because I wanted it to go towards the wedding. So a side hustle is a great way to get some money put aside or to do the fun things that you don't want to take out of your main account. Another thing you can do is a no spend challenge. In January, I implemented a no spend challenge in our house. And I have to tell you, I had so much fun with it. I just made it a game. And then I looked at the food in my freezer and in my pantry. I got so creative about what we ate. And I found it to be a lot of fun. And I rewarded myself at the end of each week and then at the end of the month. I fit it into our lives when I feel the need to do it or when I feel I want to do it. And it has helped to save us a lot of money. Some little tips that I have found along the way. I discovered Imperfect Foods last year, and I started using that service every 2 weeks. And the thing that I have liked about it is, first of all, I like food not being wasted, and that's what that company cares about too. But I like the fact that I get online and within a few minutes I have my cart filled, and I know I'm basically ordering the same things over and over again, but it's what I know I need and I like, and I found the quality to be very good. and their customer service is splendid. That service keeps me out of the stores because I'm an impulse buyer and I will buy things I don't need because it's a great deal or what, and it wasn't on the list, but I might need it. Or, oh, that looks good. That smells good. Oh, right? Please tell me I'm not alone in this. But I find a few minutes out of my day to get my basics that I need from Imperfect Foods has saved me so much money and time and frustration. I'll put a link in the description below for Imperfect Foods so you can test them out, see what you think. I think they're a great investment. Another thing that I've done that has made a huge difference in our finances is I study finances. I study it all the time. I'm either watching videos online or I'm reading books like The Psychology of Money, great book by the way, and I am just always learning how to be better with my money. Those are the things that we did to save $10,000 in less than a year. And I know you can do it. I know when you set your mind to something, you can achieve such great things. And I know that finances can be overwhelming and you can feel like there's just no way you can do this, because that's how I felt last year. If you had told me we would save $10,000 this year, I would not have believed you. But the process of doing it made me a believer, and it made me a believer that anybody can do it if they just make up their mind to change their life, change their finances, and affect their future in a positive way. I would love to hear how you're going to improve your finances. I'd love to hear if you're already doing things that have improved your finances that I didn't mention here today, because we all need to learn from each other. And until next time, carry on.